The Baptism of Christ tapestry hangs at the rear of the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels in downtown Los Angeles. Created by John Nava in 2002, this 45-foot tapestry hangs above the baptismal water within the Catholic house of worship. Nava produced his layout by fitting together the elements of the figures, textures, and color through a computer. The panel is made out of woven cotton that was developed digitally. The use of pictorial elements throughout art history has served as one of the most effective forms of literary expression. Over the ages, this method of storytelling was popular particularly with the Greeks, Romans, and in the medieval and Renaissance periods. This tapestry draws upon this popular heritage. In the Baptism of Christ by Ceni di Francesco di Cerceni, produced in 1400, in the style of late Gothic early Renaissance, is derived from the 10th century Byzantine tradition. The artist does not convey a firm grasp of linear perspective because the illusion of space is limited. The figures maintain an uncertain footing, and the trees lack perspective despite the artist's intentions when placing them on high mountains. Also, the mountains are flat and idealized, and the figures' bodies are stylized and abstract. In the Baptism of Christ by Piero della Francesca, produced in 1448, the style of mid-Renaissance depicts time and motion. This stylistic period brought more naturalism to the body. There is also more interest in the physical nature of light, space, and mass. Piero della Francesca mastered linear perspective as opposed to Ceni di Francesco. He was an expert in mathematically determining perspective for space and for rendering figures in space. Also, his technique has shifted to geometric form by the simplifications of volume. Take, for example, in the Christ figure, the torso and leg are circular and solid, as is the left tree. Drawing upon the geometric method, the legs of Christ relate to the towering cylinders of light and to the cylindrical white trunk of the tree. These natural parallels also come through the dove and the white clouds. The effect of this interplay is subtle, yet distinguishable. Notice how the artist also reproduces elements of the mountains and clouds through the reflecting waters in the Jordan River. In the Baptism of Christ by Verrocchio and Leonardo, produced in 1472, the style of mid-high Renaissance is an intense study of nature. There is now a logical construction of implied space through the use of linear perspective. Notice the river successfully recesses into the background and how the figures line up across the foreground. Naturalism plays an important role in this period. The artist carries out this technique with rock elements and the true-to-life angle on the feet under the water. Finally, the sfumato effect that Leonardo employs enhances the outlines of the angels by dissolving the abrupt look to a softer feel. The Baptism of Christ was produced by Veronese in 1588 in the style of late Renaissance, early Baroque. The Protestant Reformation at the same time enacted a movement of social change that was reflective in the artwork. However, this period in art displays the social tensions between the Reformation and the Catholic Church. Here, drawing upon the Baroque style, Veronese includes markers of emotional realism, theatrical use of chiaroscuro, and dramatic foreshortening. Dramatic lighting, heightened contrast between light and dark, create emotional impact. The angle of the surface plane reveals a diagonal force, creating a stark impression of movement in the work. Typical in Baroque art, the surface plane dissolves, creating a connection between viewer and the fictional figure, with God's hand reaching out to us. The figures inhabit the mid and back planes instead of the foreground as seen in Verrocchio and Leonardo's illustration. The landscape and the tilt of the bodies conform to naturalist tendencies. The angels also reflect this realism with their common attire and missing halos. Each new rendition of Christ's baptism adds a new spin on the old tale. In all the illustrations, the two angels are placed to the left of Christ, with St. John on the right, wearing animal skin. Christ, placed always prominently in the center. These visual expressions are designed to evoke an emotional connection to the foundation of the viewer's beliefs, even in those who cannot read the Word of God. Ceni di Francesco di Cerceni executes this emotional connection by drawing the viewer into seeing the divine in his background, seeing spiritual beings represented by the angel halos. Piero della Francesca metaphorically connects the blue sky to God the Father, the tree in the foreground to God the Son, and the clouds to the Holy Spirit. In Verrocchio and Leonardo, the hands on the top connect to God the Father. In the work of Veronese, the light that surrounds the dove connects to the enlightenment of the world. Nava draws from all these sources to evoke emotional connection using the same figures, Christ and John the Baptist, in a new position. Christ is turned away from the viewer as you stand in line for your own baptism. You are pulled into the experience of God in a new age of artistic endeavor. Perhaps in our modern age, Nava's artistic vision brings us closer to a personal religious experience in an ever more depersonalized world.